Today I'm here to talk to you about 5 important training tips that you should practice with your dog every day for them to be well behaved. This is Kayan. He's here as our helper to show us some examples. One of the most important skills and probably one of the most difficult things to teach is to teach your dog to walk nicely on a lead without pulling, dragging, tugging at the lead. Creates a nicer relationship with us and our dog and makes it more enjoyable to take them out. It also prevents us from being hurt. So initially we need to stop all opportunities for the dog to be reinforced for pulling. So often they're getting away with it. We continue walking behind them as they pull and they're getting lots of reinforcement. So I would normally use a food lure to initially get them to come close to me. We want to, as soon as possible, remove food lures and have hand signals, verbal gestures, and life rewards so that they don't rely on the food forever, but it's just an initial to build up motivation and drive for that behavior. I would recommend starting this in a non-distracting environment, so in your backyard, then your front yard, then slowly move towards the street and then busier environment. Capture and reinforce that behavior and take one step at a time, ensuring that anytime there's pulling or tension on the lead, we stop, tap on the lead and wait till the dog's back with us before we continue walking. Look, Matt. Good. So you're probably wondering how to get your dog to actually go to its mat and sit there and settle. So initially you would start with a piece of food or treat in your hand. I generally, for a new skill, would only use a food lure for 2 to 3 repetitions, and then I would move to just a hand signal, a very obvious hand signal. So you would use the food, put it in front of the dog's nose, and with a nice clear sweeping motion with your hand, move your hand towards the mat. Make sure your legs don't move so the dog is following the hand signal and not just following you. Initially, nice clear hand signal, food lure. You want to make sure you reward it on the mat. So you put the treat on the mat to encourage them to think the mat's a good thing rather than you. We phase that out after the 3rd repetition, add the word mat only as they're actually doing the behavior. My little helper here, Kayan, he was actually found by the RSPCA as a street dog. Nobody really knows where he came from or how long he'd been roaming for. He was just found. I had actually lost my husky a month before, so I wasn't ready for a new dog, but there was a lot of different circumstances that led him to me. I agreed to foster him for a rescue for 1 week and told them that there's no way I'm keeping him because I'm not ready for another dog, and 10 years later, here we are. The next skill we're going to talk about is how to get your dog to wait. So waiting is a really nice way to teach the dog to be polite and patient for the things they want in life. Initially with the wait, I would start with just some fairly low value food. So their normal dry food, have the food in your hand, put your hand in front of them, keep your hand closed and wait until the dog stops trying to get at it. And then once they sit back and stop trying to grab at the food, you would say wait, and then you would release them. So use a release cue, either free or okay, whatever your release cue is, and then allow them to have the food. Once they become good at it from your hand, then you can gradually move to having your hand open, to having the food on the floor, to putting the food closer and closer to them, and then you can transfer that to other things like waiting to be invited in and out of doorways and being invited to have attention or play. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about, which every dog owner should know, is how to teach your dog to recall. So recall is when you call your dog, it comes back every time, regardless of what's going on around them or what distractions are present. Initially, this is a very difficult skill to teach. So if you haven't taught it from a puppy, if you teach it before 8 months, it is a lot easier because they haven't built that curiosity and that interest in exploring yet. But once they pass that age, they're much more interested in exploring and being outside of their comfort zone. If they haven't done it from a young age, I would start with just really, really low distractions, practice in your house, get them to come back for all of the good things in life. So ask them to come and get their food when it's feeding time. Use a word, so not just their name plus a word, come or here or whatever your preference is. Every single time they come to you, make sure you reward them. Get them used to having their collar grabbed and they're being restrained so that if they are out and you call them, they don't expect that it's okay until you got to grab them, then it's the end of all their fun. Gradually, you would build up the distractions, moving to short amounts of distance in distracting environments, and then gradually moving to longer distances, using long lead, and eventually when you feel like 100% you can trust them, you would move to doing off-lead recalls. Why are you so lazy? Can you hold your body weight? Like this. Okay, is that all right? Can you do this? You're the laziest dog I've ever had. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. Check out the description below for some more training on our ABT Plus site. Parkour. Go, parkour. No, do it properly. There you go. Parkour. So that's where the jumping started, was parkour. Parkour. And at one stage he was doing like skipping, so you skip with the rope and he skips with you. The next skill we're going to talk about is teaching your dog to greet people politely and not jump. So teaching them to sit to greet as a default and an automatic behaviour rather than jumping all over your visitors, your guests. This can be really, really horrible and inconvenient, especially if you've got a bigger dog and you may have them around little children. You don't want them knocking them over, scaring the children. So you want to have people over, be able to enjoy it and be proud of your dog rather than being afraid that they're going to embarrass you. To teach this skill, initially you may need to restrict some of their opportunities to jump because often people reinforce and encourage it, especially when they're little. You know, if they're small dogs, it's easier to encourage because they can't cause as much damage, or when they're puppies because it's just cute and they're small, but they may not stay small forever. So really, really important, restrict their opportunities to be reinforced and get good results for jumping. You may need to start with them on lead. I like to teach an automatic sit, which means I don't ask the dog to sit, I give them a hand signal until it becomes a habit, and then once it becomes a habit, they'll start to automatically sit when they greet people. You can put them on lead, restrict them that way as well. So there's a few different ways, but initially we just want to make sure everybody's rewarding them when they're sitting, nobody's giving them attention when they're jumping. They may be put in timeout or just ignored when they're jumping. I hope you enjoyed the video. Good luck with your training. We hope to see you in the next one. Kayan, kiss, kiss, kiss. Thank you.